Dr. Frankfort, paging Dr. Frankfort. Dr. Frankfort, we got a loose one. We need your
Dr.
expertise.
Frankfurt in the house. Here I am.
We need your expertise.
I just got my doctorate last week. I actually had a tutor take a course for me. I called this sign I saw on the side of the road in Scarborough. I was actually I wanted to become a realtor, and I saw this sign on the side of the road on one of those like for rent me signs. You just prove that this sign works kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, tutor for real estate. But it ends up he had another package, and I am a doctor now.
It's probably the same guy who's giving everybody their degrees in economics that's in the media over the last little while. Hey, anybody with an audience right now is an economist, ourselves included, right?
Ourselves included.
Right. Yeah. All you got to do is just basically, regurgitate a little bit of information that you read in some article, regurgitated information that they found online, that regurgitated information from somebody who actually knew what the hell they were talking about.
I got people asking me on Twitter, like if the Bank of Canada is buying back, and I don't know, it's 3 letters. I don't even know what it means. The 3 letters. I don't know what they stand for.
But it's funny.
Somehow,
the economists, because they're not that exciting, right? Like Benjamin Tall's a great guy. I follow him. I listen to him. I always want to know what he's saying, but it's not exciting when he talks, right? There's no personality there that makes you go like, yes, I can do this for an hour, right? I can listen to, Benjamin talk for about 5-10 minutes, and then I can read for a while, the rest of it,
The only reason I think that we even think that what Benjamin Tal has to say is valid is because he's employed by CIBC. I mean, if he was just like Benjamin Tal Consultants, everybody would be like, who the fuck? I don't even think anybody listens to Benjamin Tal anymore.
Nobody listens to him anymore.
Nobody's
he just
right.
Gets quoted. He just gets quoted.
Lately,
he's a reliable person to get quotes from.
Yeah, I go to the Weather Network now for my news because they seem to be as accurate as anybody at the moment.
I don't disagree. I think you do a great job. What's going on though? So are we starting the show? Are we in? Are we going? Are we on? Hello?
No,
hello?
No.
Is this thing on?
This thing is on. How are these earphones working today? Apparently,
my earphones or your earphones? Because how am I supposed to know how your earphones are working?
Well, by my ability to cut you off without you continuing, I think is how we can gauge whether or not this is working.
I think they're working fine. Was that a long enough pause after you stop? Those guys when they're doing the location, like, the satellite, whatever. So then the guy finishes talking.
There's a little bit of a delay, I think.
I think that everything should be okay. Right?
Maybe
we should just talk like that so we don't talk over each other.
I agree. Well, listen, before we get started and before we really get into things here and before we get way too excited about real estate.
I'm always excited.
I know. And this is why we need to make sure, please do us a favor. Subscribe to the channel. So many people are watching. We're up to like 25 people watching each episode now. Yeah. And we have like 3 subs.
Yeah. That's at least
it's like 200% more than
not subscribing.
Says Benjamin Tal. Oh no.
Okay, so what have we done? If you haven't subscribed yet, or if you don't like the videos, or if you don't comment on the videos or anything, then tell somebody else to do that. Maybe that's just not your thing. And then you can do us a favor by sharing the word.
Who the hell's hitting the thumbs down button? Like, what the hell could be so offensive here that you would? I mean, not enough people take the time to hit that like button. But like,
I talked to people honestly, in my life who tell me that they watched the show, and there's like 2 of them. One is my mom, and the other one was my neighbor.
Your sister,
right? Yeah, but I asked them. I said, "Well, do you guys do you like the videos?" And they said, "No."
Not really.
Did you guys subscribe? And they said, yeah. I said, did you hit the bell? And they're like, no.
What bell? Yeah. My mom the other day, she's like,
yeah.
What do you mean you're working on the show? How do I see this thing? I'm like, Mom, it's a couple of years already. Like, what didn't you
Yeah, we're going on
subscribe?
2 years next
Yeah,
month.
I think I subscribed. Well,
Yeah.
did you hit the bell? What bell?
Jeez, Mom. Why did you hit the bell? Huh?
It's the
What have you
same time
what have you
every
done for me
week. I
lately?
mean, Jesus,
Oh my gosh. All
come
right. Well,
on.
should we do our boots on the ground here? You know, whether or not we have guests today, I guess that'll be yet to be seen, as
It will
always.
be a surprise to us as well.
But
Yeah, listen, I think it would be a great idea to try and get an idea of what's going on right now.
I got a
TK,
story. I got a story to tell.
but
I got so many stories to tell this week, actually, but this is the one I want to tell.
okay, you tell the story and you
Yeah.
pump up that market, and
I'm about to change the market by at least 3 points.
we
at least 3
have
points
the
right now.
power here on
Yeah,
the
at
Canadian
least
Real
3.
Estate Show to move markets.
Or it actually might go the opposite way with this story.
You're a pumper.
So we sold a property in March.
Turnip
I got
head.
15 offers, tons of price action, 460,000 or something like that over asking. And we knew that this was a ridiculous price. And we looked for the shortest closing as possible. I think we took the second shortest closing, right? Because the first one was like the price was way lower, right? Something like that. So we took the price based on, we knew the market could change and that we wanted the shortest closing as possible. So we took the offer. The guy was not as responsive as I would have wanted him to be, but he ordered the appraisal like a week before the bank ordered the appraisal. But I know also he didn't have his financing in line until around then, because I was trying to get a hold of him and getting some mixed answers, but I knew they were still working on getting the approval. And the bank came in and they appraised the property, and the property appraised for how much lower than the price that they paid?
What was the price they paid again?
Like 1.5 million almost.
1.5 million they paid, and it came in at 1.24 million.
It came in at $390,000 less.
Even worse?
$390,000 less than what they paid.
What's that?
So when you're selling so we learned this from 2017, like to really dive into people's finances when they're paying these high prices. And he's like, yeah, we got this extra money and we've got 30% down and we've got this and we've got that and we've already sold and there's no issues and all these things. So I'm like, all right, I mean, like that's what we want to hear. Good, solid deposit based on the market. And when I said to him, I said, well, okay, can you guys cover the shortfall? He says, well, no, he didn't think it was going to be $400,000 less. He said we could have covered like $200,000 less.
Why, people are at least going in planning that they may have to cover an extra couple 100,000.
When you're a buyer's agent, that's your job, is to make sure that your clients have a chance to, get this property no matter what the appraisal says. And as a listing agent, you want to pick the person not only who gives you the best offer on closing on offer night, but who's actually going to close this deal. Because that's another story we can go into, because there's a bunch of relisted properties this week. We have one of them. Okay, girl on my team told me, but I'll tell that story after. So anyways, I arrange, so I call up the boys at Tembo. I get, lenders start working on it. I make sure that everything's in place. We negotiate additional non-refundable deposits, extensions, all that kind of stuff. And I found him a private lender who can do up to 90% loan to value. And they reordered the appraisal. Second appraisal came in. Guy calls me up. I won't use any, I won't describe the appraisal, but the appraiser calls me up and says, yeah, I need to do this appraisal, right? And I know what it's about. So I'm like, great, thank you. When do you need to get in? He's like, you know what? I mean, I don't really need to get in. I can just walk the lot. Right? I can just walk the lot. I said,
I'll send my drones.
I was like, this is great because the house is really dated. Right? So he goes to see the property and I said, just walk the lot, no problem. So he goes and walks the property and asks me a few questions and stuff like that. And then I now get to control the narrative. So now I get to tell him, I said, wow, this one recently sold and it was 1-1. And it was like, it was actually a little bit smaller, but it was like way smaller. It was way like less as attractive. Nobody likes that street. Like I got to play the narrative on him to be able to make sure that he knew that last sale at 1-1 was nowhere close, because the last guy appraised us less than the last sale. So in the end, the appraisal came back and he appraised it for $130,000 higher than the last guy at 1.2.
1.24.
Close to 1.24. Exactly.
1.24.
You were bang on. Yeah.
On the second.
So now they can go and get a 90% loan to value private mortgage to be able to close this deal if they need it.
What rate?
Or they can come up with, I don't know, but they can end up, it's a first and a second. So you can use your imagination. Or they can go and back to their other bank. And instead of a $390,000 shortfall, it should be, what did I say that was?
Like a $260,000.
Yeah, so $260,000 shortfall, and then they may be able to cover that because I think they got a couple hundred grants, maybe borrow some money.
Wow, Jesus Christ, that's crazy. You know what? So tell me what you think about this, because I put it out there this week, and it speaks to what you're talking about. I mean, like what role do the appraisers play in this ridiculous run up in prices over the last 2 years? I mean, these are supposed to be professional people. How do they underwrite a $50, $100, $150,000 increase in value from one day to the next, or from 1 week to the next?
You have to understand who's the one that's whose interests are being protected through an appraisal. Okay, whose?
Well, it depends who hires the appraiser, but generally it's the bank.
It's the banks, exactly. So when the market's going up, right, the banks look at it like this. And this is part of those provisions that Aussie was having the banks put aside, right? Which they were saying you had to set a certain aside for delinquent accounts, and you had to have a certain amount of money that was there to keep the banking system stable, right? So as the banks are they're basically saying like, some of these people aren't going to be paying us back this money, so we're going to put this aside because we know we're going to lose some of the money, right? So they start protecting themselves. So, but now it's in their interest. It's a numbers game. The more loans that they can give, the more mortgages they can put out. The risk is there, but they're protecting themselves by having these provisions. They know the numbers. Not everybody's going to default. Yeah, and the more money they lend out, the more money they make.
I get that, but why can't the appraisers it can go up? There's nothing wrong with it going up, but like the appraisers should go, hold on a sec. Like the last house was just worth this 2 days ago. I can't give you this value.
Some people will not get that mortgage because of that, because some people are
fine.
just at 20% down and they can't get it.
Exactly.
Which means, I know, but that means the banks don't get to make their money. And when the banks are looking at the market and they're saying it's going up, maybe it doesn't appraise today, but tomorrow.
But why wouldn't the deal just go through at a reasonable number? I mean,
because they can't, because if they've only got 20% down and they've been approved for 80% loan to value and it comes in,
but the seller's expectation doesn't get to that elevated height if the appraisers keep the pricing and the value where it should be.
And in that market though, Darryl, firm offers are being written and people are just like this. They're writing 2 offers every 3 days.
Right. But then the appraiser should be like, sorry, dude, you made a fucking mistake because you're stupid and your agent is stupid and your mortgage broke. Everybody's stupid. That's consulting to you or consulting for you, because this is fucking crazy.
And everybody
20 years ago.
And everybody knows the situation. So when you're in a conditional sale, the appraiser has got the real estate license, 99% of them. So they're going to go and look on the MLS to see that it's sold conditional. Yep. The firm deals that firmed up 2 months ago and are closing in 2 weeks, the appraiser sees that as well too. The bank knows the situation as well. So the bank has all this information. So when the appraiser is going in there, yeah, you're right. When it's a conditional deal, it's more likely that the appraiser could come back and say, well, you know what? We think it should be here. And then the buyer will have the decision to move forward or not, because it's a little bit of a slower market. And they can then decide if this is something that they want to move forward on. They can look at their options. It happens more often, excuse me.
Yeah, listen,
firm offers, that barely happen.
I get how
So
the
the market
system
changes.
works, but the appraiser is actually supposed to be like the fail-safe mechanism for the prices not to go bananas, for them to go, hold on a sec. If I'm being objective here, there's no fucking way that the value of this house is this. Sorry, like it's just not. And I'm sorry that you put a firm offer on. Like, suck it up, bud. That was dumb. How could you pay? I have right around the corner from me, TK, where we bought a house recently, fairly recently. Like, I have a semi that went for basically the same amount we paid for this house like 8-9 months ago. A semi. And then like a week later, somebody paid even more than that for another semi. How the hell are people gonna get this money? Like, how is an
We'll find
appraiser
out if
now?
they actually do
No,
get the
because
money.
right, because now the appraisers are going, oh, hold on a sec, it's going the other way. Like, how can I appraise it at that value? 2 weeks ago, it was it right. Like, it's so fucking. I'm getting heated here, TK.
And really, what it boils down to this, like, especially with
Wait.
these firm deals.
Why? I know that the system is all kind of working together, but like somebody needs to be the fall guy. If it's not the banks, like let's make the appraisers the fall guys because somebody has to take
They
responsibility.
pay a lot of insurance to be fall guys. Yeah, their insurance companies can be the fall guys.
Let's start suing them so they don't get insurance and they actually have to do their jobs now.
Yeah.
They could be that tether, like that bungee cord for the market, like they're supposed to be.
I love appraisers, especially when they come in like this guy who comes in and it's like, you know, I don't know if it's shady or not. Maybe I'm just overthinking it, but it seems so shady that someone could just come in and like not even want to go and see it. Listen to me, the guy who wants to try to get this deal together like nobody else, you know, like why are you listening to me for? And then comes in at 130K more, which probably will put this deal together.
They call first and they're talking and they're like, you know,
So
what do you think it should be, right? What'd you pay?
How much do you think we need to come in at here? How much?
Have you heard?
You think 1.2, 1.25, 1.260? Tell me when to stop. 1.280.
With like commercial deals, I'll be on the phone with the appraiser and I'll be like, make sure you look at this property because this happened here and I heard that this happened over here and if you do this and this, then it should be this. And anyways, I remember the guy calling me and me just going like, this is better than I even thought. This is crazy. This guy's completely nuts. He doesn't know what he's doing. Yeah, send me that. Thank you. I'll talk to you later. Like, I don't know how they come up with this stuff, but they're really, there needs to be a better system.
There needs to
what
be
else is new?
Yeah, I know the better system. No, I know it. I know the better system.
Call me. Call Darryl.
This is a perfect segue. I saw a post online. It was about a house that was on stilts that was getting washed away by the ocean, right? And it said, you know, this house that's been abandoned now and no longer occupied is now finally the ocean has reclaimed it, right? According to Zillow, it's worth $380,000.
For sure.
Right? So automated appraisals, there's an algorithm, Darryl, technology. They're going to solve it with technology. It's got to work. Right now, go on House Sigma and look at what House Sigma thinks all these houses are worth. And some of them, it's like listed at 1.5, value 1.8, listed since March 2022. Like it's been on the market for months. And they're telling the algorithm thinks it's worth 300K more than they're asking. Like it's silliness stuff. Silliness. Computers will not solve appraisals, let me tell you.
Well, I think they could actually. They could. I think they would
think the technology hasn't been improved enough.
Well, I don't think that there's much technology for it, but right now it's like take a few houses that are kind of close and maybe relatively equal size, and if there's 4 of them, divide by 4.
Lot size. Oh, horrible.
It's not,
horrible.
Yeah, it's got
every
potential.
area is different, right?
It's got a lot of potential.
So another one this week, if you want to talk about that, was a partner of mine. And hers was I can't remember what it was, but it was a freehold outside of the GTA in the 905. And it was sold in multiple offers within the last couple months. And the person who bought it was like, yes, I can do this. They had a lower deposit than a lot of the other people, but they had the highest price, and they decided to work with that offer based on a lot of different factors. And it wasn't her, because I had talked to the agent about it. The sellers were the ones who were like adamant about going with this buyer. So she tried her best to sign up, like warn them, I guess, that, these were all the different things. So on closing, the agent doesn't call, doesn't do anything, the buyer's agent. Apparently he's part-time. And the buyer said, oh, I was going to get 100% financing.
From you.
And he had
I would get a VTV.
He had no
100%.
financing.
Yeah.
He had no financing. And then she arranged 90% loan to value private financing. And he was like, I don't even have 10% down. Because he said, he might have been able to get it. I'm not sure. But he said his payments would be too high. And he says, I'd be bankrupt after 6 months. So he said, just keep my deposit and move on. And in his situation, he has no assets.
So he doesn't care.
Has no assets.
Come sue me.
The value of that home went down $200,000.
And the payments went up probably God knows how much.
They bought, they moved, they were expecting it to close. They had bridged, they were gone. And at the last minute,
you told me to get a pre-approval, but I was busy.
Right? Nothing.
Right, now my mortgage went up $2,000 a month.
So now they're relisting the property, and they're gonna and it's already listed. I'm not sure the details, but it's gonna be sold, and the comps now show $200,000 less. And if they don't do what they need to do, and I'll tell you, it's in Brampton. That's all I'll say. I won't say anymore. Yeah. Speaking of Brampton, I sold a condo in Brampton this week. In Brampton.
A different one than the one you sold last week? What do you like?
Here's how you do it. No, this was the same week. This is the same one.
Didn't we talk about it last week?
I listed
some like old folks community.
Yeah, but I listed it last week. I sold it this week.
Oh, I thought you sold it last week.
So you don't know the results. No. Well, what did I sell it for? If you're exactly. See,
like I remember anyways.
But these are just like hard numbers. Like this is like actually what it is. Last year, this unit would have gone for $610,000 a year ago.
Hold on a second. There's all the construction of the new set going on in the background over here.
Yeah, I saw the new set. That new set is banging.
Keep it down.
That's a banging set.
Big things going on around.
But it was too Toronto centric. We got to make sure we get coast to coast, Darryl. We got lots of great guests lined up over the next month or two.
Oh my God.
I know people are sick of hearing us just chatter the last 2 weeks, but
we had a great guest for today, I thought.
Well, you know what? Sometimes guests are more reliable than others, but we have great guests lined up for the next month or two. I
have an update on my, right.
610 was last year. Then all of a sudden in February 2022, this stupid market that we had then that ruined so many different people's lives, unfortunately, sold that same unit, smaller units for $817,000. Right?
Yeah.
Smaller units. So what do you think the sellers want?
More.
They want more than the last guy because they're a bigger unit, right? They're the biggest unit. And then in the newest building.
Sure. Right? And they obviously don't watch the news or read the paper.
No, they knew what was going on, and they had to sell and all that stuff.
Okay,
they bought already and everything else. So when they came to me and everything else, I had explained to them what was going on. We prepared everything as fast as possible, but I just gave them a timeline. I said, like, look, here you were worth 500, then 550, then 600, then 650. The next one should have been 700, but for some reason it jumped up to 850, right? Does that make sense to you? No. So those that atmosphere has disappeared. It's no longer there. So as long as we carry on that timeline, if that month never happened, you guys would have been very happy with 700 because this would have been an improvement from every 6 months since you lived in the building for 3 years. And they understood. So we listed it at that price. We did the offer date. We ended up only getting 700, couple offers. Great. The closing date they wanted, which was important, all the terms, all that stuff, got it done. 700.
How long
The
a closing?
day of our offer date, Darryl, another unit came on the market that's almost identical. The day of the offer date for the same price with no offer date, which means they were saying we'll take 700 or less, whatever the best we can get.
So thank God you got that deal.
We got that buyer who came in because they had already seen our unit and maybe they didn't know about the other one. I don't know, but whatever. They came in, they bought ours. We were happy. We moved on because the next one will sell for less.
But yours sold firm?
Yeah, done to 700.
Boom. All right. Well, that's good. I mean, listen, there's gonna be casualties, right?
Yeah.
There's gonna be casualties in this period here of adjustment. Hopefully it doesn't get too nutty and get too like I don't know. I read one thing says prices are coming down. I read another thing that says prices are stable. I see one report that says, everything is come off 10-15%. And then I see something else that says, the average or the median price in Toronto's only come down like $20,000. And it's like there's so much misused data. Like now House Sigma is releasing data for a different period of time than Treb numbers, right? So they released numbers a few days before Treb that were like completely out of line with Treb numbers. And like, it's just more confusing. I don't understand how people can navigate this thing properly, how they even know that they can trust their realtor right now.
Sigma.
But how Sigma
tell you what everything is worth. It's 1.8. It's listed for 1.5 for the last 3 months. Got to be right.
But they're posting sales of things that like didn't close, that were supposed to close, that didn't close. Like there's a lot of info that's wrong on there. It's not reliable. It's another unreliable part of the industry. I don't know how anybody is even buying a house right now.
It's the industry that's flawed.
The industry is so fucked.
There's humans involved.
There's a lot of humans involved, but
too many humans.
But it was humans in a frenzy of craziness. Like the behavior is just so amazing to watch. It's like everybody just, even I was like thinking back today, like when we bought, it was like this whirlwind. It's like, what? We gotta buy a house right now. Let's go, go. No other options. Go.
Yeah. We were all over the place.
It's crazy.
All over the place.
It's crazy. Anyway, so there's some big news this week that I think we should probably talk about.
That was a long boots on the ground talk today. Jeez, shut up.
There's so much to talk about right now, though.
Yeah, there's even more. There's other stories I'm like holding back on here.
There's so much. I mean, my father-in-law, we got his deal closed.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank God. Had to give a price reduction. First, it was like, fix this, get this done, get that done, give us some money for this. We'll give you money. And it was just at the end of the day, it was like, just here, we're going to give you this much money. We're closing tomorrow.
How much?
Goodbye. Not as much as you would actually think.
10 grand?
More like 25 in total.
25 on that price point. You're talking about a small drop in the bucket.
Nothing
compared to relisting and all that stuff.
Oh my God. And believe me, like there was preparedness for much more.
Yeah.
It was just this weird. I think what really happened is they freaked out. The market they saw was turning. Like I said, the parents' money was in there, and they freaked out. And I guess after talking to the lawyers and both lawyers talking to each other, it became very clear to them that like this was not going to be a good situation for them if they did walk away from this. That they were more than
they have assets.
Well, you can do it, but like, yeah, you're gonna
have assets. If you got something to sue, you better close that deal.
You better close that deal. But like, just to have to deal with that on top of everything else that everybody has to deal with on a normal daily basis, it's just crazy. And people like, it must be getting a lot worse than that, like a lot worse than that. And a lot of people may not have the resources to, I mean, part of their problem was that there were some faulty plumbing issues in the house. And there was like, some cupboards that didn't work, things that you don't necessarily notice when you're in the middle of a, 20-man bidding war.
Yeah. But when you bring your home inspector in on one of the buyer's visits, then you really get a good clear picture.
Oh, but you know what? We took a conditional offer
Yeah.
with a home inspection clause, and they never brought the inspector. And then after one of their visits, they used a visit for the inspector after they waived.
Ooh.
Like crazy.
But
and
it's
this
your
gets even
father-in-law's
deeper.
agent's fault. Yeah.
Double-ended, baby.
Yeah, it's his
Double-ended.
agent's fault. Yeah.
He was a piece of shit, man.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, he used my father-in-law's like situation and knew what he had going on and that he was bridged. And I'm telling you, he was like, what was he care? He was a piece of shit. I'm telling you, he was the problem.
Yeah. Double ending. Dum 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 dum.
Abolish it. Anyways, we've got bigger fish to fry because guess who's moving to Toronto? Another
Justin Bieber.
Evil. Oh,
Blackstone.
on the wrong stone. Yeah, another evil investment
Blackstone. Sorry.
coming in.
Yeah, I love it. But you know what? It's not all bad.
It's not all bad. Where's the bad? Where is the bad?
Yeah. Well, the fear is there. The fear is that they are going to go like in Phoenix, Arizona, buy up a whole entire neighborhood, overpay for, 10 properties so that the 50 other ones that they bought all raise in value. That's not going to happen. We don't have those.
But they only do if somebody else is stupid and buys them. They only raise in value. Wait, you want to refinance it? What do we care?
Sure, but how are values determined based on the last sale? So if a whole neighborhood is full of $1 million sales, then that's what everyone's going to be thinking is the right value, right? At least sellers are going to want that amount of money there. I'll think about it.
Yeah. But either way, that's not what
they're doing. They made it very clear in this article that that's not what they're doing, right? They're coming in for their own businesses that they have. They're in every industry you could think of. So it's like, they literally are coming here to Toronto because they've got other interests here. And then their commercial multifamily, like all the big apartment buildings and stuff like that they've already partnered with Starlight on in the States are going to be their targets, which is also good. You like the people who own buildings in Ontario, the apartment buildings and stuff like that. A lot of them have no idea what they're doing. Most of the landlords are useless. And when you get a professional landlord comes in, ask anybody who's got one of these big REITs as their landlord, they'll tell you things are done well. You get a professional property manager, they clean up the building, they do renovations because they're trying to do like forced appreciation and have, significant investment in the capital expenditures.
Which is when you can raise rents.
I know, but they're cleaning up the mess by getting rid of all the drug dealers and, people doing bad things.
Yeah.
I think it's smart because there's a lot of landlords out there who are just old and miserable and they're hanging on to real estate because they don't know what to do with it. And it's very undermanaged. Those are the people I deal with. I don't deal with the REITs. I deal with the undermanaged buildings. And they're brutal.
For sure. But I think what people have an issue with is that it's not that Blackstone or core developments. These are not guys that are coming in here with swaths of cash ready to buy apartment buildings that haven't been managed well by a poor manager or a local mom and pop owner or an owner that's hands off that lives in Europe somewhere and has like some guy living for free rent managing the building. Like these are companies coming in to buy houses, right? To buy homes that other people wouldn't be able to purchase. Why aren't we directing companies like this towards, you can come here, you can own apartment buildings, but you can't come buy the houses. The houses are for people that want to buy houses. I'm just playing devil's advocate because I really don't give a shit. It's a housing unit one way or another. In this article, it actually speaks to companies like Blackstone come into a small area, they buy a house and they turn it into 2 units of housing.
Core developments, that's their MO right now.
Right. So we're getting 2-for-1 specials here.
It's fantastic.
Companies
rental
adding.
Supply. Imagine we did that in the neighborhood zones in Toronto.
It sounds like we're going to.
I know, but it's not.
But it's the same problem.
Most of the guys who are going to be starting to work on it right away.
It's exactly what you're saying. It's the same problem. The investors, like I keep saying it, the investors are going to come in. They're going to value it differently when they can make it 4 doors all of a sudden. right?
Yeah.
So it's going to keep pushing prices up. There's no hope in sight for prices in Toronto. I don't know about Saskatchewan and Alberta and I mean BC seems to. I don't know what they do in BC. I guess money laundering is a great business because I don't know what they produce out there, but their market's the same as here in Toronto, where I don't know what we really produce here so much anymore, other than money somehow, I guess, through all these loans that keep going out. So let's talk about loans now, because it seems to me that, you know, these interest rate hikes are having an effect on the housing market.
What interest
Right?
rate hikes?
Well,
I
kind
thought
of
interest rates were
exactly.
record low.
But that's the thing, like really, like on the grand scheme of things, what interest rate hikes? Right? Yes, it's 100% more than it was before, or 200% more than it was before, but it was like literally nothing. Okay, it was literally nothing. So,
Yeah.
so I mean, they're saying right now, here, let me pull this bad boy up on the screen.
Real interest rates are still negative.
Well, and they've got this comfort zone. What are they calling it? They're
A neutral.
the neutral zone here, where it starts affecting inflation and we're way below it. Like, no kidding, guys.
Yeah.
What
Interest
the
rates need
hell
to
is
go up
going
higher.
on? You got one job to do, Tiff. One job. Just keep inflation like close to like, it's not even like you got to be right on 2.
Yeah.
Like somewhere between 1 and 3, you got a gap, man.
You know who's getting too much heat right now for inflation?
Who is getting too much heat for inflation? Putin?
Putin.
Putin.
Way too much heat. We had so much inflation way before Putin started to do the stuff in Europe. Yeah, okay, gas prices. Yeah, there's some other commodities and stuff like that that have started to rise. But like, why is everyone trying to pass the buck on to him? Right?
Well,
don't you feel like everybody
right,
seems to keep mentioning the same thing? Like once the war in Europe, then we'll get inflation under control. If it wasn't for the war in Europe, then inflation would have been
like, or the China virus.
Guys, don't you remember? Yeah, like don't you remember? And blaming China now too, right? Everyone's like, oh, it's because of China, right? Like there is so much issues that are way beyond what's going on across the world because of inflation. It has nothing to do with the war or China. And those two factors can be resolved 100%. And literally the inflation rate would go from, you know, in the States, it'd go from, you know, 8.3 or whatever it is down to 8. And we'd go from 6.7 to 6.5.
When the war ends?
Yeah. That's just how much spending is happening. That's just how many people are out there, you know, constantly
but hold on,
clearing out the stock of all the goods and services that people have. That's just the way that the economy is shifting. It's like it's just that trickle effect. And it's like, you know, well, I'm charging more, so therefore I have to pay more, so therefore I have to pass that buck on to this person, so that means now I need to make more, which means I can afford to pay more, which means, so it's like all this type of process that goes through that leads to price increases. And very few places don't have price increases, and if they don't have price increases, there's something that they're doing. Like there's either they're asking for tips, they're cutting down on their quality, they're doing some sort of cutbacks because everyone's feeling the pressure of these increased costs.
Sure.
Right?
Sure. I mean, have you been to a restaurant? I mean, I feel like nobody kind of knows.
They don't even put the prices on the menu anymore at restaurants. They just say, look, what are you looking for? We'll let you know by the time I get your order and how much it's going to cost.
Today's special is the hamburger at market price. The filet of fish, market price.
Right? That's what it is. They'll tell you. Say, we'll get to you. We'll get, by the time we get your bill, we'll let you know how much prices have gone up, and then we'll bring it to you.
I can't believe how much it costs to go to a restaurant. It is just insane. Just insane. The prices are like out of control. And tell me, okay, so we're below the neutral rate, which is where it affects inflation. Inflation is rampant. There are so many boats waiting to be loaded in China, which is on 100% lockdown for I don't even know how many weeks. We haven't even seen the repercussions of that. The war is still going strong. There's no end in sight. And then like all the other issues that we even had before the pandemic, which were already there there's been so many problems mounting up for so long that these just like sped them up like crazy, right?
And what do they need to do? What is the answer to all this that nobody wants to hear? And what was the answer that they should have done
But
in
this is the thing.
May or September 2020? What's the answer?
Right. Raise
What
rates.
it raise
but
taxes.
No, raise taxes.
Raise taxes.
How is raising taxes going to help?
What do you mean? How is it going to help? It's going to help pay for all this mess that we have gotten ourselves into. It's going to help raise the interest rates so that the government doesn't need to stimulate as much. It's going to mean that the government doesn't have to provide as much support. This is what's necessary right now. They need to come in. They need to hit people hard, because right now, if you're not borrowing, what does interest rates going up? How does that affect you, Darryl?
If I'm not borrowing,
yeah.
How does it affect me?
How does it affect you? How does that
everything
slow down?
else gets more expensive?
But if you're not borrowing anything, how does it affect you when interest rates go up? Do you say, "Oh, I'm going to not spend my money on that fill in the blank now"?
It depends if you're not how high they go up, though. Listen, if they go up just another 1%, yeah, the real estate market keeps stalling, but prices keep going up on everything. That's not going to affect things. So we have two choices right now, right?
Yes.
Either like keep farting around with these like quarter point, half a point increases and not curb inflation and just keep killing real estate and stock markets and cryptocurrency markets. Like just keep obliterating all the markets and destroying the demand, right?
Yeah.
Or I guess the alternative is like raise rates huge and just kill demand in one fell swoop, like really quickly, so that we can get back to things. Like
but think about it. There's still people who are going to find a way, people who have money, right? And I'm not saying tax people who are struggling and at the bottom end. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying tax the people who can afford to be taxed so that they don't have the money anymore, myself included. I'm not saying like,
it's a horrible
it should
idea.
be corporations and multi, billionaires here. I'm saying like tax the people who can afford to pay the tax so that they stop spending money and we can control inflation a lot faster.
I think
otherwise the government's going to be in a deficit until ad infinitum. It's like there's no end to this. It's going to kill us.
Exactly.
We keep passing the buck.
That's it. There's no end to it. They're going to just keep kicking.
Why? There can be.
But everybody's doing it. It's the cool thing to do.
Why is City of Toronto's taxes so freaking low? They've been delaying the assessments. Like our assessments were up until 2020, and now the assessed values of everybody's properties are still based on the 2016 assessment report. Yeah. They need to go and they need to reassess all the properties in Ontario, all the properties across Canada, figure out what they're worth, keep the same tax rate or whatever the municipalities vote in, and start taxing people properly so that everybody's paying what they need to pay based on what their property is worth, so that municipalities can afford to pay for the things and services to help the people who are actually vulnerable, who actually need the support. That's what needs to happen.
Do you remember when we first started this show, I came up with this, it's not my idea, but I said we should double the land transfer tax in the 905.
We talked about that.
Remember that?
That was a tough thing to coordinate, because the 905 is a vague term, right? So you'd have to say like York region,
wherever they don't already do it.
Hill region,
right? Yeah. Like Toronto has it. So wherever doesn't have it, wherever they don't have the same land transfer tax as Toronto in Ontario, they should do it. Imagine how much they could have brought in. Time
was the mismanagement of funds. That's the issue. And I agree, there will be mismanagement of these funds from property taxes too. That's just one level. Now you got provincial government, right? So now you've got other forms of taxation, income tax, provincial government, right? The unemployment rate is like record lows here. When the market dipped in the 89, 90, we had like, this is a good idea. This is a good thought for us to go down. Unemployment rate went to about 13%. Do you know what 13% unemployment rate was? In 1990, okay? And remember COVID happened. Think about all the people you knew that were unemployed. every server, every hotel worker, every gym owner, everybody in like all those industries. Like we were all like tons of people were at home, you know?
Getting
That's
paid.
yeah, that's what a 13% unemployment rate looks like, right? That's heavy. That's heavy. We're nowhere close to that, and we're not going anywhere close to that. The
Nowhere
economy is doing
close.
too well. We're not going back up to that rate unless again there's a mass lockdown and all these industries close down. So unless we see that, we're not going to see a huge crazy market crash. We're not going to see the inflation get under control. We're not going to see the people start to do what they need to do with their money, which is save it more and not borrow and all that kind of stuff, unless we tax them. Those are my 2 cents, Darryl.
They're basically worth that.
Yeah, good.
Oh,
Listen,
no,
if
maybe
you're
you're
watching this
right.
show
I mean,
and you're getting advice from Darryl and I,
yeah,
stop
you
right
are
there.
fucked.
Okay, we haven't met you.
Yeah,
We know nothing about you or your situation.
I
You shouldn't listen to
guarantee
us.
you're fucked.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you know us personally and we know what's going on with you, we can talk about it. But if you're just watching YouTube, hoping to, figure out this A, economy, B, real estate market, or C, life itself,
You have come to the wrong
come
place,
to the
my
wrong
friends.
place. Okay.
All 18 of you. Listen,
Yeah.
TK, you've upset me now with raising taxes. I don't think
Good.
that this is a good way to go.
Oh
and I
yeah,
would like to
you're worried
forget the
about
last
paying
few
taxes.
I pay
Hey?
some taxes.
Yeah, Mr. Real Estate Investment Trust. You've been dodging taxes for 20 years, eh, Daryl?
No, no,
Hey,
no, no.
taking advantage
No.
of the system. I'm joking. I'm messing with you.
I bend the rules as far as I can, like any good entrepreneur, without breaking them, TK.
I know. I've never said you did.
Without breaking them.
But I need your advice. I don't know if you want to talk about this or not right now, unless
I
you have something
do.
else to go on.
I've got
It's
all
about that-
kinds of things to talk about. Like this is crazy.
But this is more
what's
interesting.
going on.
What's going on? What is it?
No, I
What
want to
is it?
hear what you have to say.
It's the land deal that we were talking about without mentioning who the organization is. That one that I was saying to you, they wanted to sell just a part of it instead of the whole thing because they still want to operate for a
Oh
little while.
yeah. What the hell's that all about?
So one, if they did that, it would be a 90 by 350 foot lot, a horribly inefficient lot. Okay, picture that. Then they would be left with 150 by 350, another lot that is less than efficient than it could be.
What was the second one?
150 by 350. It's a good lot, but wouldn't it be a much better if it was 250 by 350?
Especially
Exactly.
where it is.
Especially where it is, exactly. So if they sell that piece of land, they're actually going to hurt the value of the land in 20 years when they want to sell it. So I'm trying to come up with ideas on how to help them out because I'm trying to just help them out at this point, right?
Tell them to find somewhere to move and cash out.
So one would be to cash out and rent out the building.
JV for a few years.
One would be to rent out the building, rent the building back, right? For 20 years, rent the building back for 5 years and then take the money and go into another location, right? Sever off a much smaller chunk, just like a 90 by 200, and someone could build 4 townhouses and then they'll still have something bigger. No. Any other ideas?
I'd have to look at it a little bit.
So cash out, though, is your first instinct.
Or JV and stay there until it's zoned and like starts construction.
That's what I was thinking.
3-4 years. Find another place.
I was thinking 20 years, but just do it for 4 or 5 years, right?
Yeah, find another place. They don't need to be right there. Where's the
They don't need
benefit
to
to
be right there. They
being
can still
there?
carry on. Yeah. They can find an industrial unit somewhere and
Who goes
be there
there?
for another 100 years.
I looked at the pictures.
Nope.
It's like,
No
here,
one goes
leave your pitchforks here and leave your bobcat over there. And
That's okay. Yeah, they're nice people, man. They do good. They do good there.
Sure, they do wonderful things. Okay, TK,
Okay,
you
what do you
took
got?
us on a tangent. Okay,
But you're my expert. I need your help sometimes.
these are not exciting conversations for most.
Okay.
Let us look at this from a different perspective.
Okay.
Okay. Let us look at it from a perspective of the people waiting on the sidelines with a bunch of money who are disgruntled for multiple reasons. One, They could have just been waiting for the opportunity or their down payment to get large enough to afford a house, and the market ran away on them, and now they're fucked.
Okay.
Or they've just been fucked for the last 20, 30 years, and they're just pissed, and they're like, yes, the crash is here.
I know
You're
those
all
guys.
gonna
There's like a Facebook group.
burn.
full of
You're
those
all gonna
guys.
burn. You're all gonna die, and I'm gonna be there to laugh at you and buy your house.
Oh gosh, yeah, they're funny.
Right?
We
So-
need those. We need every society needs them.
Also, an idea I've been floating around recently. Remember the iBuying algorithms that were buying up everything for a while?
That's what I was talking
then
about. Zillow, the floating
Zillow
house.
stops
Yes.
and sells everything, and everybody's freaking out. The algorithms fucked. They're going out of business. Their stock tanks. They're still in business. Where is that point where somebody's algorithm goes, now's the time to buy, and then the other algorithms are like, oh my god, shit's going, the bottom's here, and all these algorithms start buying everything up, right? And then everybody else is like, oh, we hit the bottom, let's go, everybody's buying. Isn't that like, is there a floor to this thing because of all these people just waiting for the crash? As soon as somebody jumps in, everybody's gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna miss this.
Yes. The answer is yes. There is a floor.
So, but there are buyers definitely out there. You know why? You know why they're definitely out there, TK? Because
I don't know, but you're going to tell me.
there's an article in the Globe and Mail, right?
It's got to be true.
Carolyn, Ireland, I'm sure knows everything about real estate.
The Globe and Mail only gets valuable information from reliable realtors. Okay, that's it. They only reliable ones. They never ever interview people who are like, biased in their opinions. It's always the most reliable sources.
And I know from experience that a lot of these publications are finding their experts on Twitter lately.
I can tell you that Carolyn, Ireland, like years ago, like 2014, 15, 16, I'm in a few of those articles. And I think that should speak volumes to what I'm trying to tell you guys. Okay. I was just like, yeah, but what's my thought? What's my thought on the deforestation of the British Columbia mountains? Like, sure, I'll share my opinion on that. Like, no idea what I'm talking about. Like, everything was just basically like, hey, what do you think? And then you're getting quoted and you're just like, maybe I shouldn't be talking so much to this lady.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Somebody contacted me this week about the labor strike, the union strikes. They're like, you're a developer, right? And I said, yeah. How is this affecting you right now? I go, to be honest with you, at the moment, it's not, but like, here's all the things that it's affecting right now. And then, oh, sorry, we were looking for someone who it's affecting right now. And I'm like,
yeah.
I guess they're going for like that sob story angle where somebody's like, oh, it's like ruining everything, and this is the problem.
Well, I mean, there are people right now. So one of the people that I know who's looking for new construction, who bought new construction, they've already had majority of their property framed and all that kind of stuff. So when that union went on strike, it didn't affect them. But now further strikes, when you start looking at some of the finishing trades, could affect their closing date, and that impacts them, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. People who are waiting. Condo people, come on, those are all investors. They're all waiting for that, whether they're like, I hope this takes another 3 years. I hope there's a delay. I can't afford to close. I needed to take another 3 years before I get my permanent residency and I can actually get the mortgage,
Sure. But all these people are like somebody has to live in those places. We're so behind. We need those to come on the market, not to be sold, for people to just move into. Like, even I imagine a lot of them start getting leased a little bit before completion. So there must be people.
The builder doesn't
waiting
want that
in.
to happen in occupancy stage most of the time, but people do it anyways.
Well, now they're now one of the what do they call them? The sales benefits, or one of their
incentives.
One of their incentives now is that you can lease the unit during, like, before occupancy.
Yeah, of course. Buddy, those incentives, have you?
Yeah, I posted something this week. It's like crazy what they're doing. Like,
and everyone's only 10% now.
Scary.
I guess the developers would foot the bill, right? Right? I guess they'd foot the bill. Instead of taking a hit on the unit price, they say, okay, guys, we're going to foot the bill on that 10%, right? Because otherwise, how do they get their financing, right? But it's better than them taking a 10% hit on the price.
Well, I don't understand what you're saying.
Because how are they going to build when they go to get their financing? The lender wants to know that they've got 20% down for each one of these units.
But these people don't default until it's built.
Who?
The buyers, right? There's no problem until a few years down the road when it's time to close.
No, I know that. I know that.
Money,
anyways,
right?
Don't worry. It's not a question. We'll solve that question with Skrinko.
Okay. Yeah.
We'll talk about pre-construction stuff because there's other pre-construction stuff we should talk about in the news, but we don't have time for that today. And we'll talk about it with the pre-con guys.
Well, so let me ask you a question. I got one last note here that I would like your opinion on. I kind of noticed as I'm driving around lately, like a lot more open house signs than I've seen in I don't even know how long.
Yeah.
Like
Why?
multiple on the same corner.
Why?
And lots of for sale signs. Like I'm seeing lots of for sale signs, and I'm really not seeing any sold signs.
Not sold sign. I saw another one this week too, conditionally. Looks good. The inspection was yesterday.
But there's no sold sign on it now.
There's not yet. No.
You see.
There's sales. There's lots of sales. Honestly, the people who I'm noticing are not selling, I believe, still to this day, just have not priced the property based on what today's market is showing. There's a few examples, that I'm like, hey, you know what? Too bad, because that's a great house. That's a great deal. But a lot of the times they're not renovated, or they are on a busy street, or they've got something that, people are like, do I really want to, when I have all these other options, do I really want to go with that option? And I think that's the main thing that they'll have to adjust for, again, by lowering the price.
Why are we bringing open houses back?
Oh yeah, open houses. So I got pressure from somebody. They said, well, we haven't done this, we haven't done that. We should do an open house. And, first of all, what are open houses for? They're for the agent so that they can go and get more buyers and sellers for themselves in that area. And they're for the seller to know that the 5% or whatever they're paying their agent, okay, to literally spend no money whatsoever and just put the listing on the MLS and just wait around twiddling their thumbs, hoping that somebody's going to eventually buy it. Okay. That they know that they're putting their agent to work. So they feel like he's doing something. He's earning his money. He's there. I smelled those brownies. I smelled those butter tarts. They were fantastic. I know this guy is worth it. He's going to make sure, because you never know. You never know, Gerald. Somebody could just walk in and they could fall in love and they could buy it. Yeah, maybe in 1993 that happened. Yeah. But I did open houses for 11 years. It never happened. I did like literally 500 to 800 open houses. And it just doesn't happen. They come to the open house, but they're like, I saw you on realtor.ca. That's why I'm here. So they would have just called me anyways and booked a private showing. Right.
So is it a desperation move?
Desperation. Why? I'll do anything but price it properly. I'll do anything but lower the price. I'll do anything but listen.
But who is that? Is that the realtor? That's the realtor or the seller?
The realtors don't want to do open houses.
But do the realtors also are the realtors also pushing back on lowering prices right now, thinking that
good realtors know the market's going down? The sooner you sell, the more money you get. The longer you wait, the less money you get. It's 100% right now. Just like telling a buyer back over the last 20 years is you should wait for a lower price, right? Is that going to happen?
Right.
No. So right now, for a seller, why should you wait for a higher price? It's only going to get lower for now. At least right now, that's the market direction. But the reason that realtors are doing open houses is because what else could they do? They're going to tell them to do marketing. Agents don't market properties. They're going to do some social media ads. They're going to boost their posts. Like, they don't know how to get the property out there to as many people because it costs a ton of money to do that. And you got to be doing it all year round. And you have to have a ton of listings to be able to justify it. So they say, we'll do an open house then. No problem. We'll see if anybody's driving by, Western Road and Shepherd on a Sunday between 2 and 4, and they'll see my face and an arrow going that way. And then maybe they will come and buy the property.
Right. And you know who's going to look at the open houses right now? 2 people.
Okay.
The people that lived in the area and for years have been wondering what it looks like inside.
Mm-hmm.
And the people who just bought in the area and are hoping to God it sells for more than they bought for. Or that it's
I
like
never would have thought that,
way worse
but it's got to happen.
right?
got
It's like,
that somebody's gone into an open house for that reason. I
fucking
was
hope
thinking
it's
somebody's
way
just
worse
hungry
than
and just hoping
mine.
there's free food.
I hope it's way worse than mine because it's listed for lower for some reason. What the hell's
It's
going
way
on
nicer
here?
than ours, and it's listed for
Oh
lower. Oh my
my God. What are we
we're
gonna
in trouble,
do?
Jim. What are we gonna do?
Martha? All right. And then the last thing, I know the last one was the last thing, but this one I think is kind of important to touch on. Maybe it's not. Rents are going up, baby. Rents are going up. And again, we have proof, right? Because we have an article here. Renting in Toronto, be prepared to pay extra, says a realtor. I believe that's what that means. Says a realtor, because
God,
the realtors know
the
everything.
realtor would know. Couple
Absolutely.
things. So one, you got full scale return on foreign students, right? Schools are open. Every school in Toronto is open, including the newly named Metro Toronto University. You've got people. Yeah, Ryerson.
Really?
Well, I don't think we can say Ryerson. I think you're a racist if you say Ryerson.
Oh, is that?
Yeah, don't say Ryerson anymore.
Hmm.
Fact is that people are not buying as much right now. So all the bottom of the market, those people who are like, oh, we're going to get our own new house, we're going to buy, and oh, the market's so crazy. Oh my God. Oh, now it's going down. I don't want to do anything. And they're frozen in fear, even though now's the time to buy and that they could have been getting into the market. Instead, they're going to go and rent, and they're going to, live in that rental for the next 10 years and realize that they missed out on their opportunity to buy when the market was going down. So that's a new flood of people going into the market. There is people divesting now. So they're saying, oh, market's going down. Gerald, get the house on the market. Call your friend Billy. Get the sign on the lawn. I want to be listed by next week. We're going to sell. We're going to rent. And, that's it. Also, record number of divorces. Divorces are up, man. I'm telling you.
For sure.
A lot of divorces
lately.
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
Divorces are up. People going their own ways. We went from one house to two houses. Both are renting, or maybe one buy, one rent, whatever.
A lot of renting going on.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
And it's fucking expensive. You may have no choice if you want to live like where you want to live, right?
If you want to stay in the area that you want to be in, you can't afford to buy on your own. Two incomes to afford a place 20, 30 years ago was needed. Now it's like you need your income, you need your spouse's income, you need rich parents, and you need to have someone giving you a Brampton loan.
It's crazy. I'm not kidding. Like
you need a Brampton mortgage on top of all this.
I had a friend over 2 nights ago, extremely wealthy guy. And he was like, I couldn't get a mortgage I couldn't refinance my house. Like without going to a B lender and jumping through hoops for 5 months. And this guy's got like monstrous amounts of cash.
Yeah.
But he doesn't show an income, right? Like he doesn't show a salary. It's insane. Like this whole thing is just weird. I don't get it. I don't like not getting it. And you know what I do when I don't get it? Freeze up and I don't do anything.
We talk about it on our Sunday podcast and pretend like we do.
Oh my God. Well, TK, if they made it this far and they haven't subscribed, I don't know what the hell they're
don't
up
know what's
to.
going on.
If you haven't liked at this point, like honestly, what the heck is going on? I don't understand. Press a button. And if you have a comment, please, we'd love to hear it, because the Trent needs to say something offensive in response to it. And we love that.
Yes.
Shout out to D.
Any
Trent.
comment is
still
amazing.
watching.
He's
Trent
a funny guy. I know.
He's a funny guy. We love him. We love the trolls. Sayonara, Mr.
Thanks,
TK.
Darryl, for doing this again. And hopefully you'll have me back next week.
I will be the guest next week, and you can interview me once again. Next week, oh my God, we have a great guest.
We have lots of great guests.
I don't know, but like the next 8 weeks are ridiculous guests.
I think that's why today was meant to be just me and you, because we've like packed up the rest of like the spring with guests.
I was pretty excited for today's guest.
That's okay. We did a really good job researching the guests. Like we've got the right people coming in.
It was a good exercise. Big news coming up for the Canadian Real Estate Show in the next couple of weeks, guys. We're aiming for 100 viewers. Please help us.
Will you be number 100?
Will you be 101 or 99?